Having a bit of trouble there with Tennessee Bottle. Comes in now. They're racing in the DB Draft Amberley Cup field away, and Folden Skipper's made a brilliant beginning from down on the inside. Peeping Tom came out smartly. They were followed then by Levels Fella, and they were followed through them by Bob Muir. Vaguely Innocent's got a good run through from the second row, and up on the outside of those then to Overdale Miss has made a good beginning. Jerlin's Choice has made a cracker of a beginning from 30, already running up in about 8th and 9th place already. Has passed the most of the field. Rangford Lads beside it. Then there's about 2 back then to Melbourne Speed, about 3 further back behind those then to the Dutchman. Rear to Light the favourites beside that. Then there's about 2 further back then to Midas Gap. Neofema a bit slow, is about 2 to 3 lengths further away. Tennessee Bottles behind that, and further back then they were followed then the Dutchman back in the outside, and Haley's Gold is just on the inside of the Dutchman. Now they sort themselves into positions going down the back, and taking over in the cup now is Bob Muir. Go to the front, up by a length and a quarter. Folden Skipper's dropped into trail, and up on the outside, showing up for those now round the outside is Overdale Miss. They were followed then by Jerlin's Choice and No Vaguely Innocent just ahead of it though. Back in the inside of all of those then as they race round the far turn is going to be Well Buried back in the inside is Levels Fella, and then we've got Jerlin's Choice, and just next to that is Melbourne's Melbourne Speed. Then there's about 2 further back behind those as Haley's Gold's got a bit closer now. Back in the inside, Cut the Kate, then Rear to Light. 2 lengths away then to Midas Gap. Tennessee Bottle and stablemate behind that, then Neofema. No Frills is back second last, and the last one to turn into the straight on the outside now with 2,000 metres left to run. At the back of the field is the Dutchman. Down through the straight they come, but Bob Muir is the leader, and it's out by a length and a quarter. Rangford Lader showing up outside the leader's wheel now. Back in the inside, Folden Skipper getting a good trail. Overdale missed the outside. Back in the inside of that, then they race down past the judge now with a lap to go is Peeping Tom. Up on the outside then to Vaguely Innocent. Jerlin's Choice, and up on the outside, Levels Fella. Round the outside goes Tennessee Bottle, and they were followed a bit further back then on the inside, but Well Buried at the stage is Cut the Cake. Then behind Cut the Cake, Neofema, then Melbourne Speed the outside. Going around 3 wide now is Midas Gap. Then No Frills is next to the rail, and up on the outside is Haley's Gold. The favourite Rear to Light with only 1 behind it, and that's the Dutchman 2 lengths away. Into the back they go now as they head down towards the 1,200 metres, and still in command is Bob Muir, and it's up by a length and a half now as they race their way to the back. Tennessee Bottles ranged up outside the leader, and then back in the inside then to Folden Skipper. Back in the outside then as they race down the back, but 3 out now as Midas Gap's improving. Peeping Tom back in the inside, and they were followed just next to Peeping Tom then as they race down the back. We've got one up there nice and handy, Rangfin Lad. Back behind Rangfin Lad then would have been on the rail is Jerlin's Choice. Vaguely Innocent the outside, and Overdale Misses just ahead of those 2. Cut the Cake back in the inner. Further back behind those is Neofema, then Levels Fella. In behind those then to Haley's Gold, and further back No Frills. Rear to Light is back a bit, and so to the Dutchman. But they start off the back in the far turn now. And Bob Muir is still the leader. Bob Muir by about a length and a quarter. Midas Gap is ranged up out 3 wide though. In the centre is Tennessee Bottle, and up against the rail we've got Folden Skipper, and the big run coming round the outside from Overdale Miss has gone right up outside the leader now. And back behind those then to Jerlin's Choice. Vaguely Innocent not far away. Further back then they were followed by Neofema, but the home turn coming up in the cup now. And Bob Muir, 400 metres to go, is just the leader. Bob Muir the inside, but being challenged by Overdale Miss, and the Folden Skipper gets into the clear. Further out on the track then 1 or 2 coming into it, Vaguely Innocent, and Melbourne Speed has come right into it 2 down the outside. And further back behind those, Cut the Cake's running on a bit, and so's Levels Fella. But inside the 200 metres now, Overdale Miss has got to the front. Folden Skipper's coming at it and down the outside. Here's Jerlin's Choice winding up with a good run. Overdale Miss is getting there though. Overdale Miss has won it from Jerlin's Choice. Folden Skipper third. Then Peeping Tom in a photo with Bob Muir. Then came Tennessee Bottle, followed home then by, on the rails, No Frills, then Melbourne Speed. Further out on the track, Rear to Light. Then came, hitting the rest, Haley's Gold, Cut the Cake, Levels Fella. After a gap behind those, Neofema. Then came Midas Gap, further back, Vaguely Innocent, Rangfin Lad. And the Dutchman's the last to cross the line in the DB Draft Amberley Cup of 1993. Wait for the judge's call. The DB Draft Amberley Cup for 1993 has gone to number 8, Overdale Miss. A 7-year-old chestnut mare by Noodlem from Jenny Robin, raced by Alex G. Sutherland and Mrs. A.G. Sutherland. Alistair Sutherland, the trainer-driver from Rakaya. And Overdale Miss has paid $46.55 to win. For a place, $7.85. $46.55 and $7.85 for a place.
Well, we've just witnessed another great running of the Amberley Cup. It looked like Eric Ryan was going to pull it off again for the second time, but he didn't quite make it. But I'd like to congratulate Overdale Miss and all the connections. It was certainly a terrific run, and perhaps we might see her back again next year to have another crack. We've got a terrific crowd here today. I'd like to welcome you and thank you all very much for coming. Without you, we certainly wouldn't have a meeting. And this year, as you probably all read, is particularly important. You supported us well, and the totes are doing very well. So hopefully we will be back here next year. All the invited guests, thank you for coming. I'd also especially like to welcome and thank Mr. John Austin, who is the chairman of the TAB and the deputy chairman of the Racing Industry Board. Also Mr. Ross Dixon from the Racing Industry Board, and Mr. Graham Heenan from the TAB. Thank you for coming. I'll now ask John Austin just to say a few words on behalf of the Racing Industry Board.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'm only too delighted to say a few words, but especially thrilled to be here on such a great occasion. I really want to congratulate the committee who've shown what promotion can achieve by attracting so many of you here today, and that enthusiastic committee deserves the result that they're obviously going to achieve. I want to say just a few things about the concerns of on-course only race dates. The Racing Industry Board doesn't have a firm policy in place as yet, but we have indicated that on-course only days will not exist in the future. But that doesn't mean that clubs such as the Amberley Trotting Club don't have a future. We're going to be looking positively at clubs such as this who continue to perform well and supply a service to the harness racing code, such as the Amberley Trotting Club. We're not about to destroy the good things of racing in New Zealand. We're going to encourage them. And without saying that it's definitely a confirmation of your date, I would say that this club has a very, very strong case to continue. Today is the epitome of what Sunday racing is all about. It's a family fun day. It's been promoted like that, and that's what is happening here today. There is a real place for these sorts of occasions for the family, and Sundays like this are to be encouraged. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to say congratulations to the Amberley Trotting Club. Very well done, and that's what we've got to do, all of us, to make prosperous racing for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. I'd also at this stage like to thank our sponsors. We've got particularly generous sponsors. We've got sponsors from South Westland to Invercargill, a very widespread, and without them we certainly couldn't run it. I'd also like to thank my committee and their partners. They're a great team, and I certainly couldn't run the meeting without them. Also the other workers, we've got a big team of workers on the day and before the day, and without them we certainly couldn't have a meeting. I'd now like to ask Mr. Graham Heenan to come forward and present the cup to the winning owners. Mr. Graham Heenan.
Thank you, Hugh. Ladies and gentlemen, I must admit I've been caught in the spirit of the occasion today a little bit. Thinking the presentation was after the last race in a very informal manner, I left the tie behind at home. But I see I'm in keeping with a lot of other keen racegoers here today that have entered into the spirit, the picnic spirit of the day, and a brilliant day it is. DB has been sponsor of the Amberley Trotting Cup for, I believe, the last 6 or 7 years at least. We too hope that the club manages to continue with a full tote permit for next year. I'm sure that our commitment to the club will continue if that happens. It's now my very great pleasure to congratulate Mr. Alex Sutherland and Mrs. Sutherland, and Alex on a superb drive. This is a really top grass track specialist over Dalmas, and a very, very deserved winner today. So, your name, please? Mr. Sutherland, to come forward, please, and to collect this lovely trophy.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll hold that.
You keep holding up for me, thanks. No worries. How close do you get to this thing? Is that far enough? You're right. Mr. President, members of your committee, I'm stuffed for words. But firstly, I would like to thank DV for the sponsorship here and for all the other meetings they sponsor. They're doing a great job for racing. On behalf of myself and the wife, I'd like to thank Alistair, the way he trains the horse and the way he drives it. She's a big thrill today, believe me. I think I'm done. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you very much. The Amberley Trotting Club too would like to make particular mention of DB. Really, without their support, most trotting clubs would be in big trouble. And we really appreciate their sponsoring the DB Amberley Cup.